It's great to be here at your home in McLean. I appreciate the fact you let me come here and talk to you. I've interviewed you many times on radio and helped with the campaign in '95, '96, and show of support from you for my candidacy for U.S. Congress in Ohio 16th. It means a lot to me.
Well, Paul, it's delighted to have you back here in McLean, Virginia, at my home. I recall well the battles the Buchanan brigades had out there in Ohio, and I've always appreciated the tremendous support you've given me as a good Reagan Republican and a conservative. I think you were a great help up there, and you did a great job, and I think you'll be a great congressman. I know your concerns with this health care, this Obamacare. I think it'd be a complete disaster for this country, quite frankly. They've got only one vote margin now in the Senate, but I sure hope we can defeat that. And that's one of the key issues, I think. If you had to name another issue, I would say this cap and trade, which would virtually destroy the manufacturing industry in this country that hasn't already been destroyed by NAFTA and GATT and our presence in the World Trade Organization and these trade deficits and the massive imports coming in from China. You know, I remember back in those days, the 1990s, how we fought against NAFTA, how we fought to preserve manufacturing jobs, what we told the folks in Ohio, in the Mahoning Valley, and what would happen to this country if they didn't do something about preserving American industry and American manufacturing. And we've seen that come to pass.
And I remember being at the meeting with you when you spoke to the executives at LTV Steel there in Cleveland, Ohio, right before they went under, 96, I think, or 95 it was, warning about these trade deals and where this was leading us.
Well, that's exactly right. I remember that very well, going into that big plant where they poured all that steel in that huge container. It was the darndest thing you've ever seen. But that was a magnificent plant. It was taking all this scrap metal and turning it into new American steel to be sold here and sold abroad, and that went under. And I've been into dozens, almost scores of manufacturing and industrial plants that have gone under in these countries, gone under in the United States, these good manufacturing jobs that have gone abroad. And if you can do anything when you get up here to D.C., quite frankly, it is to join a caucus of folks who want to return manufacturing and jobs to the United States and stop exporting them abroad.
Well, one thing that my campaign's looking at, we already have, and you know how most candidates running for Congress say what they're going to do when they get down there. Not only am I saying that in my speeches, Pat, but it's reaching out to the Tea Party crowds. We have an excellent staff who have put together, who have worked on the Hill, good conservatives, good Reagan conservatives, who put together legislation that's already up there on PDF file in my campaign. One of them we're drafting is a legislation sort of like a modern version of the first congressional bill, 1789, the Tariff Act of 1789. And I bring that out to people, so we're going to modernize that bill, redo it, and put it up there on my website, paulschifferforcongress.com. We also have a bill up there to repeal the EPA ruling on their silly ruling about carbon dioxide being a pollutant, and really exposing this whole myth, global warming. One of the best lines I used during my campaign, reaching out to the conservatives of the 16th District, Pat, is I say, my throwaway line, global warming is the fraud of the century, and they go crazy.
It is a hoax. It's a tremendous hoax. But I'm delighted to hear that you're going back to 1789, that time when Hamilton and Washington and the others put together the trade policy of this country, and it was designed to prosper America and Americans first, and not the British Empire. And for decade after decade, that's what Americans did. That's how we became the greatest industrial and manufacturing power on earth, to the point where we could win World War II on both sides of the world in 4 years. And frankly, the Tea Party people are some of the best folks in America. I'm delighted you're working with these folks. I think they've got the fire and the passion and the energy that the Republican Party too often have lost. And if you can put those folks together with your Republican base that you've built up years as a talk show host and as a candidate, fighting these battles before anyone else, Paul, I think you've got a winning campaign.
I think so too. We've been out there 4 months already. There's just under 4 months to the May primaries in Ohio, and I'm going to continue to connect with the Tea Party folks. And some of them, you know, they're new, and they don't trust a lot of people running for office because of all the shenanigans that have taken place. but I've won their trust. But it's taken 4 months because they don't know me from Adam, some of the newer folks that
Right.
just got involved in the movement because of Obama's radicalism. And that's happening, and I tell these folks, Pat, look it, I'm one of you. I was a Tea Partier way before the Tea Party movement. You know, going way back to, I notice your pitchfork there in your case.
Buchanan, the pitchfork brigades of 1992 and 1996 were original Tea Party folks.
Right,
They were battling
right.
against the establishment.
Right.
Frankly, the establishment of both parties, which was selling this country out and selling the American worker out. And Ohio is one state that has suffered more than any other almost.
Absolutely.
Ohio and Michigan, from the NAFTA deals, the GATT deals, the insider trades, and all the rest of it. Quite frankly, and that's the place where we ought to begin bringing these jobs back.
Absolutely, and that's the message of my campaign, and I'm going to drive it home. Unfortunately, there is an establishment hack in the race. I won't mention his name now. I call him Mr. Excitement because he's about as exciting as Bob Dole. He's the local Bob Dole running against me. So at any rate, we're going to go against this anointed one, I call him also, and continue to reach out to the Tea Party people. And I appreciate your support, and I truly believe if this Tea Party movement was around in 95, 96 when you ran, you would have been swept into the White House. But unfortunately, you were ahead of the times, I guess, back
Well, I
then.
think that
Yeah.
some of our ideas, the ideas
Yeah.
you and I were talking about in those days, I think they were ahead of the times, but their times are really now, there's no doubt about it. The whole country knows now what we were arguing about then. We had our own Tea Party then, the Buchanan Brigades, and they did a tremendous job. The movement is now enlarged and expanded. It's got the same conviction and passion. I think we can take this country back, but we're going to need candidates out there who believe as they do, who have the passion they do, and who will fight as these Tea Party folks do.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your support and those words of encouragement, and
We
keep
look
fighting the fight.
We look forward to seeing you back here in D.C., Congressman.
I'm going to make it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.